Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this press conference. The Director General will give a statement, after which he will be happy to take your questions. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Two important agreements regarding Iran's nuclear program have been concluded today. I am very pleased that a joint comprehensive plan of action has been reached between Iran and the E3+3 group of countries. This paves the way for the peaceful resolution of a controversy which has lasted for more than a decade. I welcome this agreement, which will facilitate the IAEA's verification work in Iran. Separately, the IAEA and Iran have agreed a roadmap that sets out a timetable for clarifying past and present outstanding issues by the end of this year. I congratulate Iran, China, France, Germany, Russia, the United Kingdom, the United States, and the European Union for reaching this comprehensive agreement following many months of tireless negotiations. The IAEA has also worked hard in the run-up of this moment. Since I took office, it has been a high priority of mine and of the agency to clarify the Iran nuclear issue. The IAEA has been expressing its concerns related to Iran's nuclear program for over a decade. We have spared no effort in trying to engage with Iran to resolve these concerns. In recent months, we have offered the negotiators our advice and assistance to make the new agreement technically sound. The IAEA will be asked to monitor and verify the nuclear-related measures set out in the agreement. I will report to the Board of Governors on this request. The IAEA's highly skilled staff have been carrying out verification activities in Iran for many years. They are on the ground every day. Since early 2014, the agency has been monitoring and verifying Iran's undertakings in relation to the joint plan of action agreed in late 2013. We have gained considerable experience of working in Iran, which will serve as an important basis for the tasks ahead. Our workload will increase under joint comprehensive agreement. I will ask our Board of Governors to make the necessary resources available. I welcome the decision to implement the additional protocol by Iran. This is a very important step forward. The additional protocol is a powerful verification tool that provides the agency with more information and access right. Iran joins over 120 other countries in which the agency is already implementing this instrument. The additional protocol enables us, over time, to provide credible assurance to the world that all nuclear material in a state remains in peaceful activities. With Iran's full cooperation in implementing its safeguard agreement and additional protocol, we hope that in time we will be able to provide such an assurance to Iran. The joint comprehensive agreement also includes additional measures that Iran will implement in order to provide further information about the peaceful nature of its nuclear program. Ladies and gentlemen, the roadmap which I have signed with Iran's Vice President, Mr. Salehi, is part of the framework for cooperation between the agency and Iran. The roadmap provides defined steps for clarifying all outstanding past and present issues over the next few months. With the cooperation of Iran, the agency will be able to establish an understanding of the whole picture concerning issues relating to possible military dimensions to Iran's nuclear program. We will then report our assessment to the IAEA Board of Governors by December 15th, 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, the stalemate over Iran's nuclear program has dragged on long enough. The IAEA stands ready to undertake the necessary monitoring and verification activities and to clarify the outstanding issues. I will now be happy to take your questions.
Simon Steady from AFP. Mr. Munner, you said in your statement regarding the roadmap that there will be a separate arrangement regarding the issue of Parchin. Could you explain what that special arrangement is, please?
On the issue of Parchin, we reached a separate arrangement which meets the objective of the IAEA. In a general term, in order to implement safeguards effectively, the agency makes a confidential arrangement, such as subsidiary arrangement, managed access arrangement, subsidiary access arrangement, or facility attachment with a country. This has been a normal practice for over 50 years. We have hundreds of those arrangements with countries. Iran is not an exception, and the agency has already made such arrangements with respect to 18 Iranian nuclear facilities placed under the safeguard. Now an arrangement for Parchin is added, but we cannot discuss the details.
Shadia Nasrallah from Reuters News Agency. Mr. Amano, I have two questions. One follows up about Parchin. Will that be only one access? I'd be grateful if you could clarify that, or is there a possibility of repeated visits to Parchin? Also, to what extent will your access to sites and people in Iran be what critics of an Iran deal call anytime, anywhere access? Is the shortest time period for asking for access to sites as stipulated in the model additional protocol 2 hours? Or I'd be grateful if you could tell us a little bit more about what you would say to critics that say that you won't have any time, anywhere access in Iran. Many thanks.
There are two different things. The roadmap is related to the clarification of nuclear activities, issues with possible military dimension, and this process in a country that is implementing a comprehensive safeguard, but not yet additional protocol. The future is different because Iran will implement the additional protocol. First, regarding access to other sites, you asked the question about the access to other sites. And first, with respect to Parchin, I said that we reached a separate arrangement, which meets the objective of the IAEA with respect to Parchin. I would like to explain the normal process of clarification of issues, nuclear issues in the IAEA. We first ask questions, and then the country will provide us explanation in writing, and that country engage with us to substantiate the issues, their explanations. We'll ask questions. Further questions. In this process of substantiation, we may request further access, or we will ask reviewing documents, meeting people, or visiting places. But these issues need to be further discussed. I think...
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Asakova from a Russian news agency, Россия Сегодня. I actually got two questions. One, if you can please clarify how much money will you need for the verification process. You said that you are going to ask the board for the additional money to conduct the verification process. And the second question is, when are you going to form the additional team to monitor the verification process on the grounds in Iran? Thank you.
First, regarding the funding, as the new agreement was just agreed between P5+1 and Iran, it is difficult to give you the figure. But just for your reference.
Approximately.
Just for your reference, the fund needed to implement the joint plan of action, the interim agreement that we are requested to monitor and verify, requires fund less than 1 million euros a month. We think that the fund needed for the new agreement could not be too different, but it depends very much on the further studies of the agreement, which was agreed just today. For the additional team, I have already established an Iran task force. And we have the experts, we have the well-trained inspectors, and I do not see a need to establish an additional team.
Ishi Grove, Yomiuri Shimbun, a Japanese newspaper. Regarding the monitoring activities and verification activities in Iran of IAEA, before, until now and after this agreement, how specifically is it going to be different? And could you explain, for example, in the sense of what kind of a different equipment, monitoring equipment is going to be used, and the way for the exchange of information between the headquarters and on the ground is different. This is the first question. And the second thing is, in this today's comprehensive agreement between the 6 parties and Iran, 8 years is a kind of reference years. And if IAEA determines that Iranian nuclear activity is totally peaceful even before 8 years, everything move forward in the sense of the lifting of sanctions. In your prospect, how many years do you think you need for verifying this peaceful nature, total peaceful nature of Iranian work? Thank you.
First question is about the difference before and after this agreement. I said that today we concluded 2 agreements. One is the roadmap, and another is the joint comprehensive plan of action. First, with respect to the clarification of the past and present issues, the roadmap, which was agreed today, is a very robust tool to clarify the past issues. Why? Because it decides very clear timetable for each actions. Iran will present the explanation in writing by the 15th of August, and the IAEA will ask questions based on that by the 15th of September, and then we will review the explanation based on the questions addressed by us, and will complete the activities by clarification activities by the 15th of October, and then we provide the final assessment by the 15th of December. Timeline is very clearly defined. It also identifies the measure like the expert meeting. And this will provide us an opportunity to discuss the issues with Iranian experts. Wrap-up meeting is also identified, envisaged, after we complete the clarification activities. As these measures are clearly defined, timeline is well established. I say that the roadmap is a very robust tool for the clarification of issues with possible military dimension. This is the difference between the roadmap and the past agreement. With respect to the future activities under the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, one of the very important elements is the implementation of additional protocol. With the additional protocol, a country has to provide a very detailed, extensive declaration, and will have the opportunity to review and verify the declaration. The additional protocol provides us more information and more access rights. This will make our verification activities much more robust. Last question is about the timeline for drawing. I think you are referring the broader conclusion. The timeline needed to draw broader conclusion depends very much on the nature of the activities of nuclear activity of our country, the level and pace of cooperation of the country. So it is very, very difficult to give an indication how long it will take. It will take quite a long time. I'm sure that it will take a long time. But at this stage, I cannot say how many years it will take.
Any other questions?
My name is Darragh Cherneshov from Российская News Agency. I was wondering, how are you planning to conduct the inspections of the military bases in Iran, which are not declared as part of Iran's nuclear program?
When a country starts to implement the additional protocol, that country provides us detailed, extensive declaration. We'll verify that declaration, and if there is any consistency or in order to verify the declaration, it may happen that we'll request the visit to a site or meet people or verify the documents. And IAEA has been implementing the additional protocol in more than 120 countries, and we have established verification practice to implement the additional protocol. There is not country-specific way of implementation of additional protocol is undertaken by the established IAEA standard, and we do not make a difference depending on the nature of the site.
This is Doug Birch from the Center for Public Integrity in Washington, a news organization. I just wanted to ask whether the IAEA had made an independent judgment about whether this deal will do what it's supposed to do, which is expand the breakout time for Iran to a year, number one. And number two, I just wanted to get a little more clarification. I've seen the figure of 130 inspectors will be in Iran after the deal is implemented. So those are the two questions.
First, breakout time is not the concept of the IAEA. The concept of verification of the IAEA is to detect the diversion or misuse of nuclear material in a timely manner. So we are going to work on this basis. Second, number of inspectors. We have a pool of inspectors, and we send inspectors in rotation. You mentioned the number of 130. I need to read the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, but you may mean the pool of inspectors. Pool of inspectors and the number of inspectors that really go to a country are very different.
130 is the pool of inspectors, not the number of inspectors going there at one time, yes?
No,
No, the other way around.
The number of the pool are the number of inspectors who are ready to go to the country. Suppose we have 100 pool. It doesn't mean 100 people go at a time. Perhaps 10 people go there, or 4 people go there, and in a country like Iran, even now, we have the presence of inspector at any date. But 100 does not mean 100 go. Number of people in the list will go to a country and then come back, and another people go there.
May I continue? Yeah, Andrei Zolotov, РИА Новости, Россия сегодня. Just to follow up on that, so we've seen the figure of 120, 130 inspectors in the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. So how many inspectors will be in Iran at one time, at each specific moment throughout the implementation period? The range.
It's difficult to say. It varies depending on the time and need. We sent a number of inspectors that satisfy our technical needs and objectives.
In terms of inspectors, has Iran said to you that it's going to make your life easier by letting in inspectors of different nationalities, for example, British, French, Americans? Because I understand that they're not accepted at the moment.
We have not yet engaged in that discussion. I was negotiating the roadmap, and it was signed. And JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, was agreed today, and it will take time to discuss, understand, discuss, and implement. It is too early.
Can I ask a follow-up? You talked about needing more money to conduct your increased role. What about personnel? Is it going to be difficult for you to find the additional people to carry out your increased role?
No, it is not difficult, but we have to make a good plan. For now, we have the well-trained necessary staff to undertake the monitoring and verification activities in Iran when we are requested. However, in the long term, we need to make a good plan to strengthen our team. But it should be done gradually, and it should be good planning is needed.
My name is Hirohiko Sakaguchi of Japan's Mainichi Newspapers and Director General. Speaking of PMD, despite IAEA's request, verification process seems to be very slow up to now. Is it really possible to finalize your PMD report until the end of this year with supported by sincere Iranian stance? That is my first question. My second question is, do you think the Iranian government is trustworthy enough? Thank you very much. Is really trustworthy enough? Thank you very much.
Starting from the second question, we do not verify. We only verify the facts. And we are the technical organization. We focus on facts, and we report. We provide a factual, impartial report. Regarding the first question, I have a number of reasons to expect an orderly implementation of the roadmap. Why? Now we have a very specific timetable established in the roadmap. I mentioned that the provision of explanation in written form by the 15th of August, the further questions by IAEA by the 15th of September, completing the activities by the 15th of October. These are very well established timelines. On top of that, we have identified the measures like expert meetings in which we'll have the opportunity to exchange views with Iranian experts. And very importantly, with the agreement of Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, Iran has a very strong incentive to implement the roadmap. By these reasons, I think and I expect that the roadmap will be implemented in an orderly manner.
My name is Ken Udaga, Kyodo News, Japanese news agency. I have a follow-up question about the PMD issues. And there has been, till now, there has been very, very different position between IAEA and Iran. And I asked so many times to interview scientists or to Iran to submit the documents related to the PMD issues. But Iran has said that there's no such a study or related to nuclear development of nuclear weapons, and there is no document, and they couldn't, they cannot submit that. And could you please explain why do you think that you can prepare the situation and conclude or report final assessment on PMD issues?
The clarification and the assessment does not mean the commitment to find everything. We will follow the process. We will do our best to clarify the issue, and we expect that Iran will be as transparent as possible. You have mentioned the interview with some individuals, but IAEA's established practice is focusing on facts or issues. Therefore, we will take up issues, and Iran will provide us the explanation. We ask further questions, we substantiate, and in that process, we may request further measures, and gradually we try to have good understanding of the whole picture. So I do not prejudge what would be the answer from Iran this time. But whatever the answer, if we get it in the written explanation form, we'll ask questions, we'll substantiate, and then we'll provide a factual report. How to react to this report is a decision by the member state. It is not us to say into which direction we should go. Response should be decided by the members of the IAEA Board of Governors.
Mr. Amano, the roadmap specifically says that the IAEA will into consideration Iran's security concerns. What does it mean? How and in what way? Thank you.
In the case where Iran has some security concerns, we are prepared to address the sensitiveness of these issues. And there are various ways to do it. But as I said at the outset, this is the implementation of the safeguard agreement, and we will not discuss the details.
Mr. Amano, I'd be grateful if you could tell us about the scientists that you seek access to, which, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a vital part to reaching some kind of conclusion on the PMD issues. Can you tell us anything about how many people you're seeking access to? Thank you.
The IAEA's practice of verifying these issues is focusing on issues, not the number of people or not the name of the people. We focus on issues and we ask questions. We receive explanation in writing. Together with that country, we substantiate the issue. And in the process of substantiation, we may request to review the documents or have a meeting with people and others. In this case, the roadmap clearly defines that technical expert meeting will be held, for example. And this will give us a good opportunity to exchange views with Iranian experts.
Again, Ishiguro of Yomiuri Shimbun, Japanese newspaper. What we know, what we learn from the various sources from the United States is that regarding this PMD issue, U.S. has already decided not to force Iran to confess what they did really in the past, because U.S. knows that they did the military activities in Pachin or other places for the preparation of making a nuclear bomb. But now, for the United States, what is important is to make sure Iran will never use the same places, same people, same facilities for the future development of the nuclear weapon. And if they can make sure through the activities, verification of activities of IAEA, they are going to be satisfied. So don't ask any more about the past, but to make sure about the future. I believe this is the stance of the United States. And I also believe that you yourself are quite sure that Iran did the military activities or for the making nuclear weapons in the past, but they have decided not to do that. And so are you taking the same stance regarding this PMD, that if the future is cleared, you are also satisfied with this?
The objective of the IAEA is to focus on issues. And I will do my best to clarify the issues and provide the report as factual and impartial as possible. But what is important, past or future, or what is the good level of clarification, is a matter that member states decide. The IAEA is requested to clarify the issues with possible military dimension by the Board of Governors resolution in September 2011, and I am discharging my responsibility to respond to that Board of Governors resolution. And when I come to the point to provide a final assessment, I will present my report by the 15th of December, and then it is on the member states to decide how to evaluate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.